Hello, this is Business News Now, reaching you live from iBrandTV News Studio, Lagos, Nigeria. Coming up, Federal Executive Council approves startup bill, directs 2 ministers to see to its transmission to the National Assembly. Central Bank of Nigeria makes move to reduce Nigeria's huge infrastructure deficit. And the World Bank announces $93 billion replenishment package to help 74 low-income countries respond to the COVID-19 crisis. Glad to have you join us, and here are the business stories making headlines at this hour. I am Omobolanle Adeshui. The Federal Executive Council has approved the Nigeria Startup Bill and directed 2 ministers to see to its transmission to the National Assembly for appropriate legislative works. This was disclosed to the State House correspondent after the week's virtual FEC meeting, which was presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Professor Issa Ali Pantami, who disclosed this during the post-FEC briefing, also said the approved bill has replaced the National Digital Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Startup Policy. He explained that the bill is aimed at encouraging young entrepreneurs in the country that have skills and want to do business in the telecommunications sector. Professor Pantami also disclosed that FEC granted approval for the procurement of 4 lift passenger lifts by the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC. Similarly, the Federal Executive Council, FEC, has approved $1.9 billion for the procurement of equipment for the nation's power sector to boost power supply across the country through the Presidential Power Initiative. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, made the disclosure on Wednesday when she briefed State House correspondents on the outcome of the council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. The memo presented to Council in this regard was seeking Council's approval for the engagement of Africa Finance Corporation, AFC, as transaction advisors with third-party consultant for the implementation of the Presidential Power Initiative Phase 1. The Senate on Wednesday approved the request by President Muhammadu Buhari for loans totaling $5.8 trillion and a grant component of $10 million under the 2018-2020 External Borrowing Rolling Plan of the federal government. The approval followed the consideration and adoption of a report by the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts. The chairman of the committee, Senator Clifford Odia, said $2.3 billion would be sourced from the World Bank, another $2.3 billion from the German consortium, $90 million from the Islamic Development, $786 million from the China Exim Bank, $276 million from the Bank of China, and $50 million from the International Fund for Agricultural Development. And the Director General, National Automotive Design and Development Council, NADDC, Mr. Jelani Aliyu, has said the implementation of the proposed National End-of-Life Vehicles (ELV) recycling regulation in the country is expected to generate about 100 billion naira in annual revenues to the federal government. The policy, he added, would further create 40,000 direct and indirect jobs and, among other things, protect the environment from hazards, as well as keep the roads and highways safer. Speaking at a one-day validation workshop on end-of-life vehicles regulation and presentation of data baseline study on automotive waste recycling in Nigeria, which was organized by the NADDC in partnership with the Economic Development Initiative of Nigeria, REDIN, and the National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency. Aliyu described the ELVs as vehicles that reached end of life yearly due to age, poor maintenance, and traffic accidents. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and chairman of the Bankers Committee, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, disclosed yesterday at the closing ceremony the 12th annual Bankers Committee retreat, the committee's resolve to support the federal government to reduce the country's huge infrastructure deficit by committing more funds to the sector in 2022. He also added that the CBN and Bankers Committee, through Infrastructure Company Limited, would facilitate an initial funding of 170 billion naira for the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Abuja-Kano Road, and the second Niger Bridge, which would be tolled. Emefiele said as part of measures to increase foreign exchange through non-oil exports, the CBN would engage government agencies and parastatals in the sector so as to enhance export proceeds. The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, in its Consumer Price Index report on Wednesday, said the inflation rate fell by 0.59% from 15.99% in October. The drop in headline inflation began in April, when it fell to 18.12% from 18.17% in March. The NBS said on a month-on-month basis, the headline index increased by 1.08% in November, which is 0.1% higher than the rate recorded in October. It said urban inflation rate increased by 15.92% year-on-year in November from 15.47% in November 2020, while the rural inflation rate increased by 14.89% in November 2021 from 14.33% in November 2020. And the House of Representatives has condemned a situation where over 70% of Nigerian embassies, high commissions, and other foreign missions have received zero allocation for capital expenditure over the years. It also asked the federal government to terminate contract with foreign firms printing Nigerian passports. The House Committee on Foreign Affairs said these in its report that was considered and adopted at the plenary on Wednesday. The chairman of the committee, Yusuf Yakub, who laid the report, said it was part of the committee's discoveries during oversight visits to Nigerian missions in Atlanta, Georgia, United States, and Kingston in Jamaica. Meanwhile, the committee also noted the issue of shortage of passports, saying the delegation also discovered that the shortage in the number of passports required by Nigerians in the diaspora has continued to be a major issue at the missions. In a bid to meet high demand amid poor production capacity of wheat, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has earmarked a whopping sum of 41 billion, which is being disbursed by Heritage Bank PLC to farmers across multiple states for the expansion of wheat production project. The disbursed fund is to consummate the expansion of wheat seed multiplication project as part of the CBN's Brown Revolution Initiative and Intervention Program to flag off and support the commencement of the season wheat farming across state in Nigeria. Speaking on this laudable initiative, the governor of the CBN, Godwin Emefiele, disclosed that the move is part of the Apex Bank's intervention to address the challenges in the wheat value chain, thereby increasing the domestic production of wheat and closing the wide supply gap inherited in Nigeria agricultural space. And the World Bank announced on Wednesday a $93 billion replenishment package of the International Development Association to help 74 low-income countries respond to the COVID-19 crisis and build a greener, more resilient and inclusive future. The Bretton Woods institution said in a statement that the financing brought together $23.5 billion of contributions from 48 high and middle income countries, with financing raised in the capital markets, repayment, and the World Bank's own contributions. It described the financing package agreed over a two-day meeting hosted virtually by Japan as the largest ever mobilized in IDA's 61-year history. World Bank Group President David Malpass said the generous commitment by partners is a critical step towards supporting poor countries in their efforts to recover the COVID-19 crisis. We'll take a commercial break now. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Dry Cleaners Limited, professional dry cleaners, best in dry cleaning and laundry services that meets the needs of our consumers. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah, for clean wash and quick delivery. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. For clean wash and quick delivery. Ooh.
Swift Dry Cleaners. Clean wash, quick delivery.
Powerful looks command respect, they say. The perfect body, the perfect grooming, and ultimately the perfect skin. Looks, style, and grooming makes the ultimate man. I've found a ridiculously easy way to make my skin always feel epic. My name is Neo. I found Blemiviv, and now my skin finally makes sense.
Oh boy, winning you was so easy.
I just couldn't stand those your powerful shots. That's what happened.
Really? Let's go to my place for dinner.
This fufu is so nice.
It's true unripe plantain flour.
True unripe plantain flour is delicious.
Yes, true unripe plantain flour is what I serve my husband for swallows. It's easy to prepare, fortified with vitamin A, low in sugar and cholesterol, rich in fiber that helps the heart, builds and strengthens the bone, and his energy level is boosted.
Through unripe plantain flour, no additives, 100% natural, a product of Pali Agro Products Nigeria. Through unripe plantain flour, available in all leading stores nationwide.
Most people don't understand the magic of a perfect skin, the allure of a well-pampered skin. We bounce from skincare products to skincare products, from spa to spa. Looking for that ideal solution.
found the solution.
Thank you for joining us again. We'll move on to the African scene, where the World Bank Group has announced a $93 billion funding to help low-income countries respond to the COVID-19 crisis and build greener, resilient and inclusive economies. The lifeline is being extended through its member, the International Development Association, IDA. The amount comprises $23.5 billion of contributions from 48 high and middle-income countries, with financing raised in the capital markets, repayment, and the World Bank's contributions. This comes as research by the International Monetary Fund, IMF, yesterday said the world has experienced the largest one-year debt surge since World War II this year, with global debt rising to $226 trillion. It stated that global debt rose by 28% to 256% of GDP in 2020, calling on policymakers to strike a right balance in the face of ballooning public debt and escalating inflation. Minister of Trade and Industry Alan Kwadwo Kyeremata has revealed that an amount of 6.8 billion Ghana cedis was spent on the importation of rice from 2017 to 2020. This comes on the back of consistent calls for the ramping of the production and consumption of local rice in Ghana. Rice is the second most important cereal after maize in Ghana and is a major staple food. The cereal's consumption in 2017-2018 was estimated at 1 million megatons. And on the international scene, Asian stocks followed Wall Street higher on Thursday after the U.S. Federal Reserve said it would end bond buying stimulus in March to set up threat interest rate increases next year to tackle heated inflation. Bond yields rose while the dollar stabilized after slumping overnight as havens fell out of favor. Gold gained along with crude oil. U.S. E-mini futures pointed a 0.12% rise for the S&P 500 after it rallied 1.63% overnight to finish near a record high. The Federal Open Market Committee laid out a scenario in which the COVID-19 pandemic, despite the emergence of the Omicron variant, gives way to a benign set of economic conditions, with inflation easing largely on its own, interest rates increasing comparatively slowly, and the unemployment rate staying low in coming years. And real estate sector stocks in Singapore continue to fall a day after the city-state government announced a slew of measures to cool house prices. The measures, which take effect from Thursday, include an increase in additional buyer's stamp duty and tightening of the total debt servicing ratio threshold. The stocks had already taken a hit on Wednesday shortly after the government's announcement. Up next is entertainment business.
Welcome to Entertainment Business News. My name is Agogo Ayanago. Canadian cinema giant Cineplex says the Ontario Superior Court of Justice has ruled in its favor in a breach of contracts lawsuit brought against Regal owners Cineworld Group plc. Cineplex said it had been awarded damages of $1.23 billion in lost synergies from the abandoned takeover deal and $5.5 million in transaction costs, and the Canadian court denied Cineworld's counterclaim against its former takeover targets. Justice J. Conway, in his 39-page court decision, said Cineworld had no legal grounds to terminate its deal to acquire Cineplex, as Cineplex did not breach the contract of the agreement. Judge Conway argued Cineworld wrongly used a provision of a $725 million debt condition Cineplex was under and its ability to meet it to terminate the transaction before the closing date. In June 2020, Cineworld called off its planned $2.1 billion takeover of Cineplex, which would have created one of the world's largest cinema companies with more than 11,200 screens globally, just as the pandemic closed theaters. Moving on, Marvel's Spider-Man swing into U.S. theaters this weekend with the promise of huge gains for the movie theater industry. Conservative estimates suggest Spider-Man No Way Home, Tom Holland's third run as the iconic web-slinger, will top the $100 million mark over its 3-day debut, but co-producer Sony projects the film will tally closer to $130 million. Jeff Buck, senior analyst at Exhibition Relations, said Spider-Man No Way Home isn't just the most anticipated movies of the holiday season, but also the most anticipated movie of the year. Any figure over $100 million would be a milestone for the pandemic era, as the current record is the $90 million gain Sony Venom Let There Be Carnage pulled in back in October. Holland's Spider-Man Homecoming made $117 million during its 3-day opening in 2017, and Spider-Man Far From Home made $92 million in 2019, according to Comscore data. More optimistic box office analysis suggests that the latest Marvel Cinematic Universe film could top $200 million. That's all we have for you on Entertainment Business News. My name is Agogo Ayanago.
Thank you, Agogo. Coming up now is Sports Business.
On sports business at this hour, the Utah Olympic Committee has projected that hosting a future Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City would require a budget of up to $2.2 billion. Salt Lake City is yet to decide on whether it will submit a bid for 2030 or 2034, but the host of the 2002 Winter Olympics is in a very good position to be successful. A decision is expected following the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics and Paralympics. Salt Lake City had earlier beaten Denver, Colorado, Reno, Nevada as host for the next Winter Olympic and Paralympic Games. Operational costs are estimated to reach $1.75 billion. A $200 million contingency is also included, while the remaining $250 million will be allocated towards legacy projects and winter sports. The budget is calculated using inflation to represent 2030 costs. No infrastructure costs are included in the projected budget. Holding the Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City in 2030 faces an uphill battle due to the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. 2 consecutive Olympics in the U.S. could pose logistically challenges and would require the 2 cities to jointly raise private funds to avoid heavy use of public money. And still talking sports business, the National Basketball Association's franchise Golden State Warriors have revealed a new multi-year partnership with cryptocurrency exchange platform FTX. The new agreement is worth $10 million a year and sees FTX become an international rights partner for the Warriors. FTX is now designated as the Warriors' official cryptocurrency platform and non-fungible token marketplace. The contract also covers Golden State's NFT drops on the FTX platform from 2022. Earlier this year, the Warriors became the first U.S. major sports franchise to release its own FTS with the Legacy NFT series commemorating the team's NBA championship wins. Golden State Warriors were also involved in the sale of the most expensive NFT ever, as their World Championship ring digital collectible sold for $871,000. The Warriors and crypto trading platform commemorated the new partnership by donating 3 bitcoins to 3 non-profit organizations addressing educational equality in the team's surrounding Bay Area. The deal also includes FTX brand promotion during the Warriors G League affiliate Santa Cruz Warriors matches, as well as virtual on-court inventory during the Warriors Gaming Squad's NBA 2K League games. And that's it on Sports Business. I'm Samson Olede.
Well, thank you, Samson. And that wraps it up on Businesses this morning. Thank you so much for watching. I am Omobolanle Adeshi. Bye for now.